Building deep relationships in conflict transformation. Civil War in Nicaragua. The Civil War in Nicaragua was one of the three armed struggles that ravaged the Central America region during the Cold War. The conflict, also known as the Nicaraguan Revolution, emerged from socio-political and economic disparities during the 49-year dictatorship of Anastasio Somoza and the Somoza family. The Sandinista National Liberation Front, FSLN, rebel group, came into power in 1979 after ousting the Somoza's government. The interjection of the FSLN into Nicaraguan politics caused not only discontent of the National Right-Wing Party, but also the United States, who was battling the spread of the Soviet Union's ideologies. The discontent manifested in the rising of the right-wing rebel group called Contras, which became part of the proxy war between the United States against the Sandinistas and the Soviets. After 10 years of civil strife, the Cold War came to an end, as the Sandinistas, the Contras, and the mediators reached an agreement, resulting in the signing of the peace accords in 1989. The agreements were the product of the pressure from the international community and NGOs to put an end to violence devastating Nicaragua, which claimed the life of 50,000 people. Prominent figures such as Oscar Arias from Costa Rica and scholars such as John Lederach took part in the Nicaragua peace process. Lederach, an author and sociologist, was brought to facilitate the peace process in Nicaragua along with others. In the process of evaluating the context and conflict in which mediation was going to be established, Lederach and others developed a confianza-based mediation approach, also known as trust-based mediation. This approach focused primarily on the relationship within the negotiating parties, but also may apply to other groups in Nicaragua. Confianza-based mediation, or trust-based mediation, by John Paul Lederach. Traditionally, the role of mediator has been described as neutral outsider with no ties to the conflict, and is typically responsible to negotiate a settlement. Influenced by the Nicaraguan conflict, Lederach and others developed an innovative mediation category called the insider partial. The insider partial, along with the outsider neutral, helps improve the relationships, communication, and trust among the participants to increase the possibilities of a successful outcome. The outsider neutral is considered the standard in mediation within conflict transformation. It is characterized by impartiality of those involved as neutral mediators. According to Lederach and Ware, mediator neutrality is reinforced by their coming from outside the conflict, facilitating settlement and living. In Nicaragua, there were two simultaneous conflicts: the Sandinistas versus the Contras, and the Sandinistas versus the natives. Oscar Arias Sanchez, then Costa Rica's president, served as a mediator negotiator for the Sandinistas government versus Contras, while Lederach served as a mediator for the Sandinista government versus the natives. The insider partial emerged from the exchange of ideas regarding mediation within the context of the Nicaraguan conflict. The insider partial doesn't follow the regular approach of neutrality. Quite the contrary. This category is concerned with the individuals that play a role within the society in conflict and can be trusted. According to Lederach, neutrality is not what Central Americans seek for help in resolving conflict. They look primarily for trust, confianza. It is the familiarity and trust of the insider partial that allows the parties to initiate talks. In the case of the two conflicts, Sandinista government versus Contras, Sandinista government versus natives, the parties decided to appoint a Catholic priest and a group of Protestant leaders from a church called Moravian Church Leaders. Parties in conflict. The parties in conflict, unable to resolve their protracted armed struggle, resorts to the outsider neutral and the insider partial mediator to reach the peace accords in 1990. Lederach argues The success of the peace accords were attributed to a series of components which included the structure of the mediator groups and the application of the trust model that resulted in the improvement of the relationships. Once the groups are formed, the next step is to build trust within the groups. Lederach believes that in order to create a trust or confianza-based mediation, the parties involved need to have more contact, as well as the capacity to hear each other and interiorize each other's concerns. Lederach believes the process to increase the contact and the capacity to hear each other will generate a space for understanding. Together, these elements create a safe space where parties in conflict feel free to express their issues, leading to trust. La confianza or trust help the parties involved increase their self-esteem and improve their relationship. The confianza or trust mediation approach of John Paul Lederach has some weaknesses and strengths. Lederach approached the conflict in Nicaragua based on the causes of Nicaragua's civil war and its cultural settings, making it difficult to apply his theory in other conflicts that do not share the same characteristics and context. In addition, this could also lead to stereotyping. This assumes the outsider neutral mediator understands the context in which the war is occurring. Furthermore, there is no method to gauge the mediator's depth of knowledge regarding the relationship dynamics in the subculture. For example, Nicaragua versus Latin America. Just because it's a Latin American country does not mean their relation dynamics is exactly the same. The strengths. The use of the insider partial mediator gives those involved a sense of familiarity and help build trust among the parties. Moreover, because of the connection with the conflict, the insider partial may be able to help the group overcome objections more quickly and facilitate negotiating settlements that will satisfy those involved. Through different techniques in confianza-based mediation or the trust-based mediation, Lederach encouraged those involved in the conflict to dig deeper and find the root of the problems, enabling participants to practice and master those exercises that will make conflict transformation sustainable.